Creating a content marketing plan doesn't have to be hard. Hi there, my name is Brian Collins and I worked as a content marketer for years. I worked as a content marketer in a big corporate company and worked on campaigns across the world. And these days I use content to grow my business. In this video, I'm going to walk through how you can create your first content marketing plan, and I'll also give you a sample plan that you can replicate for your business. Hope you enjoy the content in the video. If you do, hit thumbs up. Now let's dive in. Creating content without any goals is just a hobby, which is why I like to spend a few moments setting some smart goals as part of any content marketing plan. The good news is they're pretty easy to do. First up, get specific. What exactly will you do? How often will you do it? And where will you do it? For example, are you going to write 5 or 10 blog posts a month, publish them on your site? Or are you going to focus on growing a channel on LinkedIn by publishing 3 or 4 posts a week? Or perhaps you want to grow a YouTube channel. Next up, how will you measure success? Ask yourself, is it in terms of money, growth, or impact? So perhaps you want to sell more of your products or services with your content, or perhaps you just want to make an impact by going viral. Pick one metric that's relevant to your content marketing plan. Next up, you want to make sure your content marketing goal is achievable. Can you or your team do it? And do they have enough resources? Most people dramatically overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can accomplish in a year. And I'll give you a little framework that will help with that. Is the content marketing goal you're about to pick relevant? Is it going to drive a return on investment? After all, you're creating content not because it's a hobby, but because you want to grow your business. Is it going to build your personal brand if it's not related to money? Or does it align with some other business goal that you have? You want to pick a content marketing goal that's time bound. What's the deadline? And if you're going to pick a deadline, think in terms of seasons. Usually a season, which is about 90 days, is long enough to get something done, but not so long that you're going to procrastinate or put things off till the end of the year. And it's a great way to avoid trying to cram too much into your week or too little into 365 days. Here's a couple of content marketing goals that I've set over the years. So I'm going to generate 150,000 sessions monthly for a website that I run by June 30th, 2024. So this is a good example of a smart goal. Here's another one. Build an email list to 25,000 subscribers by December 31st. And one more. Grow a YouTube channel to 10,000 subscribers by December 31st. As you can see, I've picked a metric. I've gotten specific, I've picked something that's achievable and relevant to my business, and I've also set clear deadlines. I've worked on lots of content marketing plans over the years. Now they can vary depending on the needs of the business, the client, or who you're creating content for. But usually these content marketing plans have 8 key pillars or a variation of these pillars. First up, a good content marketing plan has some defined content goals or KPIs, like the ones that we just wrote a few moments ago. Next up, you may want to pick a theme for your content marketing plan. This can help if you find it hard to focus on one thing. For example, is your content marketing initiative all about growing a social media channel? If so, you could pick the theme growth. Or alternatively, is it to increase an ROI? In which case you could pick the theme revenue. Usually having 1 or 2 themes to focus on in any given season or 90 days will help you accomplish more with some limited resources. Next up, who is your target persona? Who are you creating all this content for? What keeps them up at night? Can you interview them or speak to them? Or failing that, can you send them a 1-question survey? I often like to ask new subscribers to my email list, what's your biggest challenge with writing right now? This gives me dozens of ideas for new pieces of content to create each week. After all, good content should educate, entertain or inform your target personas. Next up, what content format are you going to focus on or specialize in for your plan? There are so many great options today. You could create video, you could experiment with short form, which is over indexing right now. You could create long form video like this one. You could write more threads on social media. You could try SEO optimized blog posts. You could improve your landing pages. You could create a new email campaign, ebooks, guides, case studies, the list goes on. I usually find picking 2 or 3 content formats and focusing on just those increases the chances of success. Good content marketing plan also contains a clear description about the types of content that's in production or being published. This makes it easier for you to understand at a glance what's happening and also collaborating with other team members. So are you going to write or create listicles, how-to guides, personal stories, customer stories or case studies, lessons learned, roundups, interviews, and so on? There are so many different great content formats. Again, focusing on one or two will give you some constraints to work within as part of your content marketing plan. What channel are you going to focus on? Are you going to explore a new social media network like Threads for the next 90 days? Do you want to build your presence on LinkedIn because that's where your customers are? Are you going to use X? Are you going to record more videos for YouTube? Or are you going to go old school and start blogging more frequently? Again, picking one or two channels and focusing solely on those will increase the chances of your plan working out. And it'll also mean that you can avoid overwhelm during the content production process. A good content marketing plan also has clear deadlines. I always recommend including the publication date on your content marketing plan. If you're creating the content yourself, you actually may want to use 2 dates. So give yourself one date by which you'll finish the content, and then give yourself another date for which you're going to publish the content. And this will help you separate these two activities. And finally, you can use your content marketing plan to manage the entire project too. You don't necessarily need to use any fancy project management software. If you're going to do this, start with 3 simple drop downs, which I'll show you in a spreadsheet in a few moments. But basically, give each piece of content a status. To do, if it's something that's in the ideation phase. Doing, if it's something that you're working on. And remember to only work on 1 or 2 or potentially 3 pieces of content at any one time, so you can avoid overwhelm. And done if it's published. Now obviously, if you have more team members or you're executing on a content plan that's more involved, you may want to add some additional steps. Finally, you may want to make some variations to your content marketing plan. For example, identifying other team members that you're working with. You can use lots of great tools to manage your content marketing. Trello is one tool that comes to mind, and I used this in the past for a content marketing plan. ClickUp is another popular project management tool, which is great for content marketing too. But to be honest, you don't need to use any fancy software. I've built out multiple content marketing plans with Google Sheets. It's free, it's easy to use, and it's pretty customizable. I'm going to walk through how I've set up this Google Sheet for a content marketing plan for a health and fitness website. For the purposes of this video, the content marketing plan is all about targeting new runners getting ready to run a marathon and also experienced marathoners. On my Google Sheet, I've created 4 tabs. The first tab contains my content marketing plan, which I'll show you in a moment. The second tab walks through the key performance indicators or KPIs that I'm going to track for the plan for social media. And I have a similar tab which you can replicate if you're more concerned with website traffic. And finally, I have a tab where I've documented my OKRs. I'm going to show you how I use these for my plan. The first tab, column A, references the OKR on the 4th sheet. So for any piece of content, I can use this drop down to pick a relevant objective and key result. And obviously, if I find that this is a little bit distracting, I can hide this at any time. Next up, I've added a column for the content theme. So for this content marketing plan, I'm publishing a series of SEO optimized blog posts. And I'm also doing an email marketing campaign and a couple of videos for social media. So I've called out the key themes: SEO, email marketing, and social media marketing. In column C, I've identified the target persona. So there are 2 personas for this fitness website. Marathoners, that's those who are getting ready to train for a marathon, and new runners. And I always find it's helpful to identify who exactly you're creating content for. This will give you constraints to work within, or it'll help you with the content briefing process, which I'll show you in a moment. In column D, I have created a drop down for the content format. So I can pick from blog post, email campaign, video, social media post, landing page, or lead magnet. Now clearly you will need to change this depending on what types of content works for you, your business, and your customers. And again, this is why I love Sheets. It's all pretty customizable. I can simply click on the pencil button, I can change the colors, and I can add additional items quickly and easily. Now personally, I prefer drop downs rather than typing in the content format, because this avoids having lots of different confusing formats that are hard to understand at a glance, particularly if multiple people have used the same sheet. In column E, I describe the content in question. So I want to publish an instructional blog post that's also a type of listicle that explains the best stretches for post-marathon recovery. and the target persona here is marathoners. Now you will notice that I've added an additional column for key phrase. That's again why I like Google Sheets, it's pretty customizable. So for this content marketing plan, SEO is a priority, so I want to track the key phrases or keywords that I'm mapping to each content asset. Again, you may want to change this depending on what you're focused on. For channel, I've selected website and email and also YouTube. Now I suppose I could potentially change this to a drop down like I have in column D. Then in column H, I have a link to the content brief, because usually when you're working in a content marketing plan, you're commissioning other people to help you. So if I click on this, it will take me to a much more detailed brief which I could give to a freelance writer. Basically, it provides an outline of what this article should be about. It provides information about the writing style, the tone, how to use the relevant keyword, and also what they should include or not include, and how to handle references, internal links, and where the article will appear. If you're wondering what tool I use to create this content brief, it's called Slab. It's free to try out, and it'll help you to create a type of wiki for your business or your organization, and then you'll get shareable links that you could easily add to a Google Sheet like I've done here. Now obviously you don't need to use Slab, you could just use a Google Doc and put that link in here instead. But if you are going to execute on a content marketing plan, it is helpful to have a process for content briefs and to include that as part of your overall plan so you can quickly and easily scale up your content if you find something is working. Depending on how your content plan is structured, you may want to add some additional columns like the one I have here for target word count. So I'll put in 800 words for this particular blog post. I also like using a spreadsheet as a tracker. So this is why I can replace any project management tool. I always recommend starting with to do, doing, and done. Then when your plan gets more built out, you can add some additional categories. For example, scheduled, updated, or draft. But to do, doing, and done is usually enough to get started. If you're working with more than one team member, which most content marketers are, you may want to add the names of the other team members to your Google Sheet so everybody can see who's responsible for different parts of the plan. It's always helpful to have a section or a column where you write out the headline for the content asset in question. Even if you don't use this headline, this does give you, again, a one sentence, the summary of what the content asset is about. You may want to add a section linking to a draft of the article in question, and also a column that links to where the URL has been published on your site, as well as the publication date and any notes that are relevant. Now, I particularly like using this spreadsheet because it's adaptable. I can hide or I can reveal columns that I feel are relevant to the plan in question. I can color code and change the drop downs. I can easily share it with other people, and also I can adapt it to wherever my business likes to work. So how can you figure out if your content marketing plan is actually working? Well, I recommend using the same spreadsheet to track relevant stats based on your OKRs. Now obviously you're going to have to customize this depending on the goals of your plan. So I'll give you two different examples. First up, I've created a sheet called KPIs or Key Performance Indicators for social media. In column A, I have the channel in question. In column B, I have a link to the resource where I can get the relevant stats. So I can get all my Facebook analytics from Business Manager, all my YouTube analytics from YouTube Studio. This basically just saves me time when I'm inputting my stats at the end of the week. In column C, I have a drop down so I can determine whether the metric in question is a lead or a lag measure. A lead measure is something that I influence as part of my content marketing plan. For example, if I write a blog post, that's a lead measure. If I commission a YouTube video, that's a lead measure. On the other hand, a lag measure is something that indicates whether my plan is working or not. More Facebook followers would be a lag measure. More YouTube views would be a lag measure. I can't just go into YouTube and press the more views button, but I can record more videos like this one. I also like to give each metric that I'm tracking a status. So currently I'm using the status up, down, flat, hold, and watch, which are all relatively self-explanatory. But basically, every Friday, I'll go in and I'll total up how many Facebook posts I've published, my impressions and followers. And then I'll ask myself, am I up on the previous week? Am I down? Is it about the same? Am I not interested in tracking this anymore? Or is it just something that I want to watch or keep an eye on? Usually, a good rule of thumb is to have at least one lead measure per channel that you're focusing on for your content marketing plan and two potential lag measures. Now, as I mentioned previously, you'll probably need to adapt this depending on the focus of your plan. You could swap these out to focus on email. Depending on the focus of your plan, you may want to set up a KPI sheet for your website. So here's one here that I could use to track my stats monthly or potentially weekly. So I'm tracking Google Search Console clicks and Google Search Console impressions. These are both lag measures which I would pull from Google Search Console each week or month to see if more of my content is appearing in Google search results. Similarly, sessions is a stat I would pull from Google Analytics to see is my content actually generating meaningful traffic. Email subscribers, I may want to track the amount of subscribers I'm getting. Is it increasing? Am I growing my email list by investing in all of this content? And I may also want to track the amount of articles I've published to see whether I'm up, down, on track, or if something else is going on with my plan in question. So if you're going to put together a content marketing plan, don't worry too much about using fancy tools or project management software. You can do it all in a spreadsheet using the principles that I walked through at the start of the video. And then you can customize that spreadsheet somewhat based on the needs of your plan, your business, and how you like to create content. When I worked for a big corporate company, we managed multiple content marketing plans using a spreadsheet like this one. And I currently use a version of this spreadsheet to manage content for my own business. So give it a try. And if you'd like to use this content marketing spreadsheet, I'll give you details in the comment section below this video that'll help you get started. And please do ask me questions if you'd like to learn more about creating your first content marketing plan.